Greetings, everybody. I was thinking about purchasing shares of SJNK, which is a high-yield junk bond ETF, currently yielding over 7% in dividends. But I wondered how the returns have compared against the S&P 500 and which ETF is actually more profitable. I created this table to find out what the total returns would have been if someone had purchased shares of SPLG, which is an S&P 500 ETF, SCHD, which is a popular Schwab dividend ETF, QYLD, which is a high dividend ETF based off NASDAQ 100 covered calls, and SJNK, which is the high yield junk bonds. There's a lot of information here, but it starts off with what the price of the ETFs were on January 4th, 2019. And to the right of that is all of the dividends that have been distributed by the ETFs through October 29th, 2023. And to the right of that is what the ending value of the investments would have been when you factor in its current share price and the dividends received. Overall, to summarize, and the most important information I think, is this part right here, which tells you what the overall gain and average yearly gain for the ETFs have been during the past 4.8 years. As you can see, even though the S&P 500 ETF only has a 1.6% dividend yield, it's averaged a 15.61% total return per year. SCHD has a 3.8% dividend yield and has returned 13.18% per year. QYLD has a 7.3% dividend yield but has only returned 6.17% per year. SJNK has a 7.5% dividend yield but has only returned 3.63% per year. Now, how can this be? How can QYLD and SJNK be returning only 6% and 3% per year when their annual dividend is 7% or more? That's because the ETF value / price per share has depreciated. So even though they pay a high dividend, the shares have trended lower to the point where their total return is less than the dividend. I'm not saying this to bash or talk bad about those ETFs. I'm just talking about it for informational purposes. As always, different investors have different goals, so those high dividend ETFs may still be worthwhile to some investors even if the prices per share go down in value. Also, past performance is no guarantee of future performance. So even though this has been the trend during the past 4.8 years, it doesn't necessarily mean that the trends will continue, but it's the information we currently have to work with. One last thing to mention, which can further complicate things, is that the performances vary by time horizon. For example, if you look at the past 3 months, SJNK is only down by negative 2.87%, while the S&P 500 and others are down by about negative 10%. So for the past 3 months, the 7% dividend junk bond ETF held up much better. During the past year, QYLD is up 1% in price, not including its 7% dividend, while SCHD is down by negative 9.84%. So perhaps long term, say several years or more, the S&P 500 and SCHD will continue to outperform the high dividend ETFs by a significant margin. But in shorter terms, the high dividend ETFs may perform better at times. As for me, after learning all of this, I'm still not sure whether or not to invest in SJNK. Good luck, everybody.